Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm joined by I'm, I'm joined by Louis. Louis, so how you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yourself? You good?
I'm good. So how you doing today?
It's been all right. It's bank holiday today, isn't it? So I've just been relaxing, just chilling out, really. I watched Shrek, so it's always good to be doing that.
Good, good film.
It's a great film. Great. I'm getting ready for Shrek 2 tomorrow, and then Shrek 3 the day after. I thought I'd do a little marathon through the week as a treat when I finish work.
To be honest with you, yeah, I think the early tracks like, are the better ones.
Oh
And
one and two, and then after that, I'm not too bothered. But
so, do you like Disney films, or is it then just particular film that you like?
Oh no, I love my films. I didn't get to watch as many as I've wanted to recently because I've been working a lot. But I thought now I'm on a little bit of a break, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit and watch a couple of films. One I haven't seen for a little while, so I watched School of Rock yesterday. I've not seen that for
Yeah,
ages. I feel in a feel good mood. Um, but yeah, I did that, and I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch one later, which I have never seen because I have a tendency to go back, and I just like to rewatch things sometimes. If I always feel like I need to give something my full attention, I want to avoid it. But I'm gonna sit and watch a full film later, I think.
my my problem is, yeah. Once I've seen a film once, it's very difficult to watch it again because I end up just saying to myself, I know what happens here, I know what happens here, and then it ruins it for me.
It's true. There are some classics though that you can rewatch because you enjoy the moments. I like, for example, I watched Hot Fuzz with my housemate the other day, and we just quoting all the really memorable bits, all the best bits from it, and sitting there and spotting little Easter eggs and stuff. It's nice to go back and watch some stuff. But I feel the same. There are some films you can only really watch once, and then you're going to come back to in a few years. But until then, kind of like there are some which I go back to. Like if I've had a very good day or in a bit of a bad mood, like I watch a clip from certain films, it just perks me up a little bit. It cheers me up.
I I I would like out of that three film series, that
Hmm.
I think that's obviously the best one. I can't remember the guy's name. The main actor or the main writer of the film. He did three films, didn't he? Obviously different concept,
Yeah.
and I think that's the best film out of the trilogy. To be honest,
Yeah, it's true. They're really good films. Yeah.
so so obviously at the time of recording, Chelsea are Chelsea are playing Real Madrid tomorrow evening, I think, and to be honest with you, mate, I think you're in the driving seat.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to because I don't want to overdo it and then sit there and be like, yeah, we've got this. It's absolutely fine and get battered off the park, which is entirely possible of happening. They're a good side, Real Madrid. It's 1-1, but I get why people think we're the favourites after how well we played in the first game, but we just got to get around it now, haven't we? Really.
Yeah, and to be fair, by the time it comes out, it could be you could already be knocked out, or you could be going to the final.
Oh, listen. I've already started looking for flights to Istanbul, so we'll have to see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to the final. Fingers crossed. Be nice to see that.
If you do get to the final, because I personally think Man City will beat PSG on Wednesday. So if you do go to the final, I think
Mm.
you'll beat Man City because obviously you beat them in the FA Cup.
It's a different beast, though, isn't it? I mean, I think the Champions League final compared to an FA Cup semi-final, we've won it. I think like you're saying, we're the favourites. There'll be more pressure on us. I think City with less pressure, just able to play their football, might be a different beast, and it's a Champions League as well. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how the game develops. Really, isn't it?
But yeah, it will be. But I just think because when you did play them in that semi-final, I think it really stifled like the way they normally play. Like I I would say completely controlled the game. But to be fair, I
Mm.
think City will come with a stronger side.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah, 100%.
so it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. So, so I've got a bit of a funny story. I don't know if you've seen some of my work, but I've had Rory on,
Hmm.
Rory Jennings, and for some for some reason I thought he was you.
No, really?
Yeah.
I've not seen that one. I saw the one you did with Flex. I saw the one you did with Lawrence. And I saw the one you did with James. And I watched all that and thought, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
You couldn't get two more polar opposites, could you? You couldn't get any further from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what lady was? Do you know me? Do you know when you're so confident? Do you know when you're so confident? And you say something. You say something with such conviction. I was like, and I did a gentleman, and today I'm joined by Rory Jennings from the kicker, and 100%, 100% Chelsea, and he was like, Anthony, I'm not 100% Chelsea.
Oh dear. Oh, Rory. Oh no. Hey, listen. I've done it as well. It's happened to me before. It's interviewing people is hard, especially when you don't like. So if you're interviewing people that you like, you don't really, you're not sure. Is it because it can be? It's really daunting. I remember I made a mistake. I was interviewing Viali once, and I didn't get it wrong where he played for, but I made some really weird comments because I was trying to relax the mood. And I watched the interview back the other day and was like, "Oh, joined by Gianluca Viali. Oh, you look really, really good today. Very suave, very dapper." And he was looking at me like, "Right, okay." And at the time, I was thinking, going, "Oh, do you know what? I don't see what I said wrong there." I then look at it back and I kind of look at how I'm looking at him, and it looks a little bit weird. And it's like there's like these weird vibes and stuff like that. But yeah, listen, mistakes happen. That's funny though.
Luckily, he took it in good spirit.
That's Rory though, isn't it?
We just the way I said it with such confidence.
Oh mate, it's those moments. They're brilliant. That's funny though.
To be honest, when I asked you to come on, I I was I wanted to see your reaction because I wanted to see whether you would find it funny or whether you would be annoyed.
No, why would I be annoyed? That's hilarious. It's those moments which are if in this industry, just being able to look back on mistakes like that and laugh, it's the best thing. It's brilliant. So you beat that, mate. That's good. I like that.
But more to a serious point, in terms of like fan content, obviously you have similar fans that all support the same club. Yeah, so sometimes you do get people mixed up.
Yeah, well, it's part of parcel, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously would you call it a Sunday league team?
Not a Sun. It's in between sort of non-league and Sunday league. We're in like the middle bit.
So
So
what
we're
would you call it?
so it's we play in the AFA, so the Amateur Football Association. So we're like in between the two. Um, I just call it a football team. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. We come together on a Saturday. We play Saturday football team. Let's call it that. Saturday football league.
Let's just call it a football team.
Let's just do that then. Yeah, that's probably much better.
So what gave you the idea of actually starting your own team or being a part of a running of a
Um,
team?
well, I used to watch Hashtag United a lot when I was younger, and I was very fortunate to play against Hashtag United when I was about 18. I've got a funny story about that as well. So I actually turned up to the game late, and you said you made a mistake with Rory.
Yeah.
It could be worse. You could accidentally run across the pitch when the game was about to kick off and not realise it was about to kick off. So you've literally just got this fat kid running across the pitch just as the ref's about to blow the whistle. But it was like 3 or 4 balls on the pitch. Everyone was just having a kick about. It didn't look like they were about to play. But that was fun. But yeah, so I turned up late.
If that was me, yeah, I would have just thrown it out.
Oh,
And
it was weird. It's a good story though. It was a good day. But yeah, we played against Hashtag when I was at Ball Street. So obviously I had Flav, James, West Ham Fan TV were playing in that. United Peoples, like lots of really, really great people were involved in that. And after that, I kind of got a little bit of a hunger for it. I thought, it's a bunch of guys come together. It'd be really, really cool to do something like that one day. And obviously I went off to uni, and then I, made my friends at uni, bit of an infrastructure. And then 3 years later, when I graduated, I thought, what, this is the perfect time to try and give it a go. So literally, I just went with a few of my mates, and off we went. Brought in Georgia Keelia, who's a Spurs YouTuber, and he helped me kickstart it with another friend from uni called Matty, and then from there we just, it's just gone on leaps and bounds.
so obviously you mentioned that you played or you were part of a team that played that. What do you think of their development going up the league and being in the
Oh, it's
FA
awesome.
Cup?
It's awesome. Um, it's a blueprint which I'd love to follow. Obviously, not copy and replicate, but I'd love to be able to be in the same class, being considered in the same bracket as Hashtag, because what they've built, not just in terms of YouTube and content, but in terms of an actual local community and global community, I think is absolutely fantastic. The fact that people feel they can go down and watch those games, the fact that people, watch it from other sides of the world and get their merchandise and interact with them on social media. I think that it's a truly, truly fantastic thing. And what Spencer's done with that club is absolutely unreal. And credit to him. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, and of course, I really like Spencer because a lot of people prefer just to stay in their lane, and I really admire the fact that he took the chance and now it's paying off for him to it. And
Yeah, well, this is it.
I think the more natural version of Salford City, because obviously Salford has pumped millions and millions of pounds into it. And if you look at things like hashtag, that just shows that to a certain degree you don't really need to do that up until a certain point. Up until a certain point.
No, you don't. You don't. And I think but hashtag really about have benefited from Spencer's vision and what he's done before he was at hashtag as well. Before he started it with his YouTube channel, the fact he's given a springboard to develop such an amazing project. Um, and it does go to show. I think you do have to put money in to run a football club
Of course.
to a certain point. And it's been quite a struggle recently. Well, not recently, just in general, because there's loads of things you have to pay for when people decide to kick a ball in the bush and we can't get it back. That's already an extra 5-6 quid every week that I have to get a new ball with. There's little things and stuff like that where you just have to keep on top of. But yeah, it's what Spencer's done, and to get to that point, and they'll continue to grow. I think I can see them getting to maybe 1 or 2 more divisions before they might have to consider proper financial investment, like from outside sources, to continue the project moving forward. But I think what Spencer's done is truly admirable and it's fantastic.
Can can I just clarify something?
Mm-hmm.
What I meant was obviously Salford don't really have that fanatical fan base yet, and I would say hashtag do that fan base. So what I meant to say was you can pump a load of money, you can pump a load of money in, but nothing really beats that fan investment.
No, yeah, the purity of it all. No, 100%. Yeah, nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. The purity of stuff like that is something which is yeah, it can't be beat. People are the foundation of every football club.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So, speaking of Salford, do you have an opinion on? Do you have an opinion on them? Or
On
not really?
on Salford,
Yeah.
I mean, I actually I rewatched the Class of '92 documentary from a few years ago, a couple of months back actually, and I think, I mean, I don't have a massive opinion on Salford, but I think what they've built and what the Class of '92 have done and taken and pushed forward, I think is fantastic. I think it's harsh for people to say, oh, because people call them tin pot and stuff like that, it's just, oh, it's just been bought, it's all this success. You still have to get there. And if you look at the early BBC documentaries, you can see it. There's a lot of work being put in to develop and build. Um, Even from there, building new stadiums, getting people through the turnstiles and doors, getting into League Two, and by the way, being very, very close to the playoffs. I think that's fantastic, and they obviously want to take it to places. And I think that's. I don't. I think You can only credit them. I don't understand the people that feel the need to discredit what they're doing. But yeah, it's. I think it's really, really good what they've done.
It will, it will be interesting if one day they get to the Premier League and if Gary Neville is in the country. It'll be interesting if he can remain impartial because I don't think he'll be able
Man
to.
United versus Salford. I don't think you'll find much impartiality from Gary Neville there.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if they do get to the Premier League where he takes a step away from their games like doing the country and things like
He
that.
probably, I reckon he probably would. I think, man, it's a very different situation, Manchester United. Plus, I think it would be a clash of
Eh,
interests.
Not only for him but also for strikers. Guys pride themselves on having unbiased countries and sometimes you can clearly tell that a lot unbiased. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking. So obviously, the first time I saw you was on 100% charity, and I've definitely got that right this time. So how did you end up being on 100% charity and working with them?
Um. So, basically, I was 16, 17, and they would started doing fan cams outside Wembley when we beat Tottenham in the Carabao Cup final in 2015. So I would have been 15, 16. Well, no, hang on, 2015, 13. No, I was 16. I was 17. I was 17. Um, and yeah, Eunice was doing the fan cams. Um, he asked if I wanted to do one. I did one, and then I walked away and thought, oh, it's quite interesting. See if they need any more help. Went and asked about more, and yeah, it just kind of went from there. Really, I got more involved that way. Started doing some more presenting stuff and doing my own little shows. I started doing player ratings that never really went down very well because my ratings were always a bit harsh. Um, but yeah, Eunice left, went to go do some personal things, sort all of that out, and I got asked by the company to take it over. So I just took it over, and then yeah, just things grew from there and went from there.
I've wouldn't mind people that actually do the fan cam, like stand there and talk to me, because I can't imagine me. Well, I'm gonna say standing there. I obviously don't stand, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, no, it's oh, it's just you stop laughing. You're making me laugh more. Oh dear, you are a character. Yeah, no, we're standing there when it was very cold. Was never the most fun.
Look.
Quick, next question. Quick, go. Quick, next question. Oh dear. Right, are we composed? Are we composed, Anthony? And breathe.
I think I carry on.
Oh
So,
dear.
obviously, when you're doing something like that, yeah, it can be to certain fans, it can be seen as quite toxic. So, what's the worst
Yeah.
bit of abuse that you had actually, yeah, okay, or what?
I mean, most people just made the comparisons of AFTV and just being like, oh, you're just in it to make money or whatever. And I'm not saying AFTV are, but they're just in it for financial benefit. You don't support the club. There was nothing really which stuck out to me. So there's stuff where people would go after my family and say stuff about my family. That always hurt. That was always the worst for me because I've got a very close relationship with my family. But I think that realistically, I just try to ignore it. To be honest, it's not really people. I couldn't really let people have impact on my life who didn't matter to me. And yeah, I just you just keep going, innit?
Sorry, my apologies. So,
Sorry.
the reason why I say that is because, as you said earlier, you were quite young when you first started doing it. So I can, because when I was a teenager, I used to say everything personally. So I was just curious whether you took things personally at your young
Yeah,
age.
well, I definitely for I think up to when I was about 2021, I did have a tendency to do that a lot more. Um, I did take a lot of things personally, and there are still times where I think mentally, just because of how I grew up as well, it does feel like people are out to get me sometimes. So that's something which I'm still trying to learn and still trying to overcome. But yeah, there were times, even professionally, where I took things personally when realistically I shouldn't have done. And I approached it wrong, and I didn't hold the conversations in the right ways, and there's stuff which I could have dealt with a lot better. But I'm older now, and I've got to learn from that and push forward. But yeah, it's like, I mean, look, people are dicks, I think, is the bottom line. If people, I was fortunate enough to be working on something as my job, which I love to do. I was, and it was on my own terms. Everything I wanted to do, I would do. If I didn't want to do it, I didn't do it. And being able to have that freedom, I find, it's not something I want to give up. It's really cool. So yeah, I think it's you just can't let people think.
My Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, 'cause I can personally tell you, yeah, if you, I personally look at it like this. If you're doing a good job, you're actually gonna get people that wanna hate on you. So whenever I get criticism, I take it as a badge of honour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to. And I think if it's just people being unnecessarily horrible, the block button is my favourite button on social media. So I just hit that, and my life's much easier.
Be- Because obviously this past weekend, they had a movement to basically boycott social media. And in principle, I think it's a really good idea. But realistically, yeah,
Hmm.
the football, the football community, in the grand, in the grand scheme of things, is a very
Yeah.
small community. So it didn't really going to affect YouTube and Instagram, and you know what I mean. The football community is a very small drop in the ocean.
Mm. No, yeah, yeah, no, it is 100%. And it's look, I think that what they're I think the aims of what it the blackout were admirable. But as you said, where people aren't going to be posting, there's still going to be millions of people using that traffic and just going on it elsewhere. I mean, I've looked at it once this weekend, and you still see people tweeting and saying things, and I think that the only way it would really have worked is if there was not a total blackout, but just from a larger portion of the community, the sports community in general, even just completely standing by it. But I mean, look, I was having a conversation with Rance earlier, and he made a very good point to me. Like he didn't adhere to the blackout, and he said, "Well, what's the point in doing that? If you stay quiet, you kind of let those people win. The people that are being um, unbelievably just disgusting to people."
Yeah,
Um, and if you use the example of the European Super League, so the only way that you're going to make it hurt is you hit them in the pocket, or you stand by, you make enough noise from everybody that it makes a difference. Unfortunately, social media companies don't care. They don't, no matter who, if you've got a blue tick or how many millions of followers you have, or thousands, tens, whatever, people aren't going to adhere to it, and um, that they just look at those people as active users. They don't look at them as anything major. So where we've gone and stopped using it, people have just filled the void. So right now, it's personally for me, and after speaking to Rance, speaking to other people, I don't feel, and even seeing, people are still getting abused online at the minute. I saw there was
yeah,
one girl called Anita. She does some stuff with the Football Terrace. She was getting abuse yesterday in her Instagram DMs.
yeah,
People saying some really horrible things to her, racial abuse, and it's
yeah.
it just didn't make a difference. So there's got to be another way around it. We've just got to keep fighting it.
Uh, and and e- e- even though I understand what people mean when they say everybody should have the identification on there, I understand what they mean. But also, with certain things, with certain instances, I think it's important to have, and I can't say the word, but they, you know, I'm going to say this, but I can't say the actual word. I think it's important to have your privacy. Because if you're blowing the whistle, if you're blowing the whistle on something, I think it's important to have your privacy as well.
Yeah,
But, so it's a complicated thing. Because obviously I understand what people mean when they say everybody got the identification. But I
yeah,
say the, the positive, the positive and negative that come with both. So,
yeah.
so I don't know what the answer is.
I think people putting identification on there is the only answer. But even then, it's still down to a case of those social media companies acting on that. Um, if someone racially abuses someone and they've got the information and the identification stuff, and they don't act on it, then yeah, then I think that within that you've got yourself another problem still, which it relies on them doing things, and they're not 100% down to do that, or then and they've got to pull their weight, and still, even now, companies are not pulling their weight because they don't care. Bottom line is they don't care about all they see is the numbers. It's just we see this many people using it. If they don't come, someone else will. Blah 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 blah. There's not any personality to it. They don't care who you are. Just as long as there is numbers on the site, there is traffic for them to talk about. They're getting their revenue. That's all that matters to them. So it's really sad, but it's they don't care about any social issues. Full stop.
And to be honest with you, this whole Super League has opened my eyes to how, so how people can turn on something when they want to, or when they don't care about stuff like they should care, they just don't bother with it. Because look how many hours they spent talking about the Super League, and they had Jamie Carragher and Gary, Gary Neville doing a podcast about it basically. Why can't they? Why can't they do a podcast about that?
There's your answer. There's your answer straight away. I think even then, I mean, I tell you what. Let's just have a look at Sky now on Twitter. Let's have a look at their Instagram their stuff, shall we? Sky Sports, Sky Sports Premier League. Credit to them, they haven't tweeted for 3 days. Fair enough. Let's go on the actual general Sky Sports.
I know Sky Sports has tweeted because they tweeted about the Man United incident yesterday, so I know they definitely tweeted.
Sky Sports haven't said anything. To be fair, I've gone on Sky Sports Premier League, Sky Sports News, Sky Sports Boxing. What have they done? They've not tweeted either.
Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing, and then my apologies. Fair play.
They've not tweeted, which is great. I mean,
fair play to them there.
Yeah, well, this is it. I think it's really important, but whether or not they actually, hopefully, this actually has an impact. However big or small, just a bit of movement, just something. I think that's just what society needs. It's what society deserves.
This is the last thing I'm gonna say on it. I think all fans, all players, if they are known to be if they're known to say something racist, I think they should be banned from the game. Because obviously fans go to the game, and if they say
no, 100%. I agree.
Because there's been players in the past that have allegedly said stuff, and they basically got no punishment.
100%.
So going back to 100% Chelsea, it's a bit of an awkward transition. I'm just gonna go with it.
That's not awkward. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. I love it. You clearly been watching my stuff recently because I love a good transition. Anybody who can switch the conversation like that, thumbs up over here.
So obviously, I assume that you've been all around the world with Chelsea as a club. So what's your favourite place that you've been to because of Chelsea?
My favourite place I've been to because of Chelsea. Wow. In what capacity? Do you mean as in the stadium or the away day experience, or do you just mean in general? Like, what's the favourite place I've gone?
I think I'm gonna explain the question. Where's your favourite place you've been to in the world? Period.
My favourite place in the world. Period. Oh wow. Do you know? I've never put much thought into this. I've never really thought about it. I loved Amsterdam when I went as a kid. I was 14, so I didn't try any of that stuff. but I loved the city itself. Amsterdam was one of my favourite cities. Um, but I think New York's my favourite place I've ever been to. Um, it's just I'm a city boy through and through. So when I say that, I mean obviously going to cities rather than the countryside. Uh,
I'm gonna say, be careful.
yeah, no, I mean I love my city. So yeah, I mean New York is one of my favorite places I've ever been to. But going to see my family in Italy, it's probably comes second to that. I just love Italy. I love going there.
So, in England, in England and Italy are in the same conversation. Who do you support?
Oh, if England and Italy come into conversation, England. I grew up here. I was born here.
To be honest with you, like if I had a choice, if I could pick the support, I would pick Italy all day long because there might not be a good, there might not be qualifying things at the moment, but I think they're a better football inside, in my personal opinion.
I don't know at the minute. I don't think so at the minute. I think that the talent that England have got right now, in comparison to Italy, it's not the same as what it was 20 years ago. It's not your Gattusos, your Pirlos, your Lucatonis, Cannavaro, Nesta. None of these guys are there. So I think you look at they've got decent players, but like when people are talking about like Alessio Romagnoli at centre back as one of the best in Europe, he's not. He's pretty average. Whereas when you look at some of the options we have, centre back probably isn't the best position to talk about, considering you got Slabhead and you got John Stones, who's been very very good, but he's still not the best.
John Stones, he's still not the most he's still not the most appealing player when you look at him play. Like he does all the eye catchy things, but in terms of the base of defending, it can be quite he can he can be quite lacking sometimes.
He can be, but I think he makes up for it. I think he's a very good player. I think this season, obviously, because he's had a lot of hate and a lot of doubting over his capabilities recently. But this year, I think he's delivered, and credit to him for that. Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of other positions, like going forward, England are much stronger than Italy, much stronger. Sterling, Sancho, Kane, Rashford. I think the Italians have only really got Belotti and Lorenzo Insigne, and eh, he's all right. But I don't think Italy aren't quite there yet.
The, to be honest with you, the main reason why I don't like England is because of the hype around England. Because obviously, cause that's where we live here. Every
Yeah,
time, every time we turn, every time I turn on the news or an article report, they just speak about how great England is, and I'm sorry, in the world scheme of things, we're not we are we are not good. We are a decent
no.
side against the lower teams, but when we play anybody of any real quality, we we tend to struggle. I don't know whether you agree with me or not.
I don't know if that's down to the players though. I think that's down to the coaching. I don't think Gareth Southgate is the best that England could get. I think there are definitely other options which could be considered. Um, who they are though is a completely different conversation. I think Mourinho would be great as the England manager. But whether or not we could get hold of someone like Jose Mourinho is again a completely different question. Um, yeah, look, I think overall, I think the situation is with Gareth Southgate. We've got such great attacking talent as I've already mentioned, but we always try and play with a three at the back. So it's I don't know. I don't know. I think the England team in terms of talent right now is definitely up there. No, we've got another golden generation coming through. We just need the right man in charge of it to use it.
And that's another thing I don't like is when they call a certain squad the golden generation or whatever you want to label it. I mean, I just find that a bit corny to be honest. I mean, let the players do what they need to do, and then we can call them
Yeah.
the golden generation when they're actually I think we have a high player. That's what I'm trying to say. Not in terms of
Yeah,
quality, but we always have to give a fancy tagline.
yeah. No, I think we do. I think we do. That's the problem. That's the English press. The reason I say golden generation is I look at the potential in the players. That's why I said potential golden generation, because I think we've there's a lot of high potential talent coming through in that England pool right now. So it's whether or not it's channeled correctly and used correctly. And I don't feel that Gareth Southgate is the man to do that personally.
If you were in England playing, would you obviously want to play for your country, but would you enjoy it with all the pressure from the media and the way certain people react to England? Would you enjoy it or not? Because I personally wouldn't.
Wouldn't enjoy what? Sorry, playing for England.
Yeah, with all the media pressure and everything like that.
I mean, I don't know. I look to be able to play for your country is, I think, a massive, massive honour. Um, Even if it was one cap, and I just score, I just do a David Nugent and score with a ball that's already crossing the line. I'm happy to do that. You know,
I wouldn't
I
mind
take
that.
the
Yeah.
one. I just take the one appearance. That's it. Done. I don't mind.
I wouldn't want to be like Harry Kane, like have people relying like to bring it home pretty much.
He's no. I mean, I don't know. Harry Kane. Harry Kane, because Lewandowski's injured, is the best striker in world football right now. So I don't know. What Harry Kane needs to do is just needs to leave Tottenham. That's where I wouldn't want to be Harry Kane. Get out of Spurs. End of.
I know he's obviously the third player, but would you take that to Chelsea or
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I'd take him straight away. Yeah, 100%.
knowing the way knowing the way your club is, they die for success, don't they? They don't like to wait for success. So I could see them putting the cheeky little bit into. I think he will go there personally. I don't think he will because I
Nah, he
think
won't. He
he's got
won't.
too much love for Tottenham.
I mean, I think he's probably going to go to an English club. So he'll probably he'll either be going to City or to Chelsea. I think it's more likely he'll go to Man City because I don't think Man City will get Haaland.
If he does go to Man City, Alan Shearer can get goodbye to his goal record. If he goes to Man City,
Oh yeah, he breaks Shearer's record. Definitely.
because he gets 30 goals now, and let's be honest, it's a bang average first side.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
So speaking of Spurs, obviously you don't really care considering that you're a Chelsea fan, but who would you like to see them there? From a neutral perspective, who do you think would be good for Spurs as a
Would be
manager?
as a manager. I don't actually know. I think that they've been linked with Saudi, haven't they? But I don't think he'll go. There was him and there was Eric Ten Hag from Ajax. Spurs need someone who's going to have the time to implement a philosophy. So I think Sarri would be a good fit for him. He obviously didn't work out at Chelsea. I'll be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of Sarri's football at Chelsea. But I think he'd probably be quite a good fit for him because he can build a system, he can build a philosophy. And the thing is, you can see, like, for example, with his work at Napoli, he can take a nearly team to pretty much title contenders. He's won trophies with Chelsea, he's won trophy with Juventus. I think Spurs would be quite a good fit for him.
Yeah, but for some reason I can see them going with somebody like Gary Monk or somebody like that. I've just got that feeling that they're going to get a young British manager and say we're going to go with him, and then in a couple of months they'll be looking for somebody else.
I can see that. I mean, there's obviously there might be talk of Ryan Mason getting it permanently, but he's 29. He's not ready for that job. I mean, if it's a young English manager, you're looking at Eddie Howe, and I don't think Eddie Howe is the right fit for Tottenham Hotspur.
I don't think Eddie Howe will go there, to be honest.
Nah.
Because when he went to Burnley, yeah, he was terrible.
Well, I think, yeah, he doesn't like to be too far from his family, does he? What, you know what's going to happen? He's Bournemouth are going to go back up through the playoffs, and he's just going to go back to Bournemouth.
Obviously, they got a caretaker in at the moment. And if I was him, if they do get promoted, I would be really annoyed because I've just spent, I don't know how long he's been in charge, but I've just spent a large majority of my time getting them up, and then he's gonna come in and take over my work.
Yeah, I mean, he's only interim, isn't he? He's not permanent manager. So I think it's the same as Ryan Mason. Um, I think he'd be good. I think. Oh, actually, well, hang on. Jonathan Woodgate's managed before as a permanent manager, hasn't he? So just before let's make sure I get this right. He was at Middlesbrough, wasn't he?
Was he? I genuinely don't know, mate. Was he?
He was, and he's a permanent manager at Bournemouth as well. Is he? Hang on,
Like,
hang on. Head coach until Wiggins wants caretaker on temporary before being appointed head coach until the end of the season. Right. Okay. Yeah. So he's only Jonathan Woodgate's literally only there to the end of the season. So yeah, it's whether he gets it permanently or if someone comes in to replace him, i.e. Eddie Howe, if they come up.
like I would be if I, that would feel like a big waste. Well, not a waste of time because obviously I think Eddie Howe is a good manager to a certain extent. But why not keep?
Is that I think the only reason that he'd go back is because it's Bournemouth. But I think the reason he stayed, he didn't well stay with them when they went down is because he felt personally responsible for them heading out of the Premier League. But he's done a very good job, and it was always going to happen at some point because Bournemouth just don't have the infrastructure to remain a Premier League club. Um, but he did a really good job with them. But I think he'd be the good man to go back. I mean, he's taken a year out of football now, so it's whether or not when he comes back, where he goes next. That's all. That's all I think is the next question.
Do you know, do you know if a team like Bournemouth and Brighton? Yeah, what is your what would be your level of achievement? Because obviously, I don't think they'll ever get into the top six or top four. So what would they consider an achievement? Just stopping in the Premier League for 15 years.
You broke up then, mate. Say that one more time.
Do you know if you were like a Bournemouth or like a Brighton, what would be your level of success that you would try and get to? Because obviously,
For them, yeah.
I don't think they're ever gonna get into the top four, top six, or anything like that.
I mean, I think if you're in the division, you need to try and get as high as possible. Right now, I think Brighton have got a very good coach in Graham Potter, who just needs a couple of little bits. Like if you look at, I hate to use it as an argument because I find it pointless, but their expected goals, their XG, I think it tells a little bit of a story in terms of if they had a clinical finisher where they might be. Um, and I think they've just basically you've got to be able to go and look to build and develop rather than just simply stay in the division. I think Bournemouth, because of the size of their stadium, because their infrastructure not quite being there just yet, they were never quite cut out to just remain a solid, stable Premier League club. Whereas I think with Fulham, for example, they've got all the infrastructure, but they just don't have those final assets, much like Brighton, further up the pitch and for players that will win you games. Um, but I think if you're in the division, if it's like if you're a Bournemouth, I think the first few seasons should be to survive. I think after that you should aim for mid-table, stay there for a few years, and then after that try and push on for Europe. But it's all about those simple building blocks. I think if you're in the division, you've got to try and get there.
Speaking of Fulham, yeah, I really do like Scott Parker. And when I spoke to Rory, I said to him, Scott Parker will last longer than Frank Lampard, and I was right.
And you're all
So,
right.
so I have happy in one sense, but I'm not happy in terms of because I think with a decent size of investment and a decent striker, I think he could be a decent Premier League manager. Maybe I'm being a bit optimistic on this from that aspect, but I genuinely do believe he could be a solid manager.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that Fulham side was maybe it was a centre forward away from staying in the Premier League. It was a striker away. So the fact that they didn't get that, unfortunately, I think I don't mind Fulham, and I think they're a very, very good side, and I think it's going to be a shame to see them go back down because in comparison to last time, you could see that there was a lot of growth. They just need to build on that, but unfortunately, they didn't do that.
And for me, what's the most annoying thing like for when I watch them play? I'm like, they do some more like build up play. I mean, they can play the ball pretty confidently and they can create good good moments of play. But when it comes to like the final third, it's like they have like some sort of like panic attack. If you know what I mean? Like they start trying
Mm.
to pass it into the net sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if that's even the problem. I just think that the build up's all there, but I think Fulham just lack that spark. They just lack that one bit of incredible talent to really pull them up by the bootstraps and drag them kicking and screaming up the table. Newcastle, I don't know what they've been having in their dinner recently, but obviously they've been unbelievable. They were pretty much tired to go down. Fulham looked like they'd be absolutely fine, but then all of a sudden Newcastle are picking up these points left, right, and centre. So I don't know what kebab shop Bruce has been taking them to,
they
but I
got
want to go there.
they got the best player in the Arsenal team, Joe Willock this
He's a
season.
good player. He's a very good player.
Yeah, but that's right. That's ironic. Arsenal send the player out alone, and he's arguably having the best season of his career. Admittedly, he's at Newcastle, but so probably won't get any credit. But I think he deserves at least some credit.
Oh, he does. He does. He deserves a great amount of credit. I think he's been fantastic. Even when he played against us for you guys in the Europa League final. I mean, I'm guessing you're an Arsenal fan. Is that I just said you guys? You're
No,
not. You're
no, that not at all, mate. That to be honest with you, I don't really support a team like that because I think it can ruin the game of football when you just focus on one team.
That's fair. That's fair enough. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look for Arsenal, I think Joe Willock was a very good player. I think he was very unfortunate to not keep his place in that team, but I think that's also purely down to the fact that he's got the likes, the Emile Smith Rowe coming through, Bukayo Saka. There was already some fantastic players that I think were just that little bit better than him in those certain starting positions. I think he should get a permanent move away, and I think I could see him at Newcastle. But yeah, I think he just needs that time to develop, and it'll all come good for him. It'll all work out.
To be honest, Arsenal are I don't know what they're doing. Some days they play quality, and then other days they're like I don't know what the best way to sum them up. They try they try
Arsenal. That's the best way to describe it. Arsenal.
they they try and play like Man City without the Man City quality, and I know what that is. Because obviously Arteta used to be the second in command at City, so he's trying to take what he's learnt from there and apply it to Arsenal, but they just don't have the quality of the City, obviously.
No, they don't. They don't. They don't, and they never will. As long as Stan Kroenke is in charge of that club, they will never, ever, 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 ever challenge for a title again.
Do you like Roman Aran? I can't say his last name, but
Yeah,
you
do
know
I like
what
Roman? Yeah, I like Roman. I think Roman's he's done a lot for Chelsea. Well, more than a lot. He saved the club from extinction. So credit to him for that. I think he does have something to answer for with the European Super League stuff. So it's now just a case of seeing what happens with that and how that situation develops. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, Roman Abramovich is being absolutely unbelievable for Chelsea.
can, can I be honest with you, mate? I think with certain fans, yeah, he would just spend about 200 million in the summer, and then I think certain fans will, I don't want to say they'll forgive him, but they'll give him a pass, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think people will forget, but I think with what happened with this Super League stuff, you can't afford to forget what's
Of
happened.
course, not. because it could, clubs like yours, even on the smaller level, it could have really affected you guys. Well, like I say, you guys, you know, I, what I mean, clubs that are trying to build something could really affect you guys.
Mm. Well, I think it would have done. Honestly, I think if it had happened, that would have been the single handedly been the death of football as a sport for everyone. Um, I think it's the whole capacity the sport it needs. It's the way that everyone stood together with it, and the way that everyone stood and made a difference. I think is absolutely fantastic. Um, but if it had ended, it would have been the death of the sport. Full stop.
Yeah, yeah. And the charity game, and this is a bit of a weird question, but obviously for people like me, it's a really valid question. What did you say about access like at charity? Because I've obviously never been, but I've always been curious.
It's all right. It's I think the atmosphere at Chelsea's any top six club. It's not
No,
the best.
I didn't say atmosphere. I said what did you say about access like from what
Oh,
you know?
disabled access. Lose an atmosphere. Sorry. Disabled access is quite good. It's quite good. There are three or four entrances around the stadium, and it's actually a really good view as well from where the disabled fans sit. It's literally right by the dugout and right along that side there. Um, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. You should definitely go. Well, I'll tell you, we'll try and once fans are back in stadiums, we'll try and sort a ticket. How about that?
No, you're all right, mate.
All right, cool. No worries. I'll get you a ticket for a Wolf game. I'll just say what access isn't that great, but we'll figure something out.
No, because the reason why I say no, yeah, because I know at Villa there's like a 3 year waiting list, and I don't want to take a ticket from away from somebody that really wants one, and and I
Fair
just
enough.
think, and to be honest with you, from what you're saying, I from what I can gather that the disabled seems a lot better at Chelsea than it is at Man United. From what I hear from United fans, the disabled sections are really, they are really, sorry, a really dangerous section. Because the way that they have positioned. So fair play to you guys.
Yeah, man, it's really good. I think the way Chelsea's set up, obviously because there's tunnels and stuff and access, and I think it's really really cool. Um, and I mean it's very I think yeah, it's in terms of Chelsea's disabled access and how they look after the disabled fans. I think it's superb.
There's with certain clubs, I feel like the disabled fans, and sometimes I don't want to say forgotten, but they cannot, they cannot be treated how they should be treated. You know,
No, no, yeah, I agree. I agree.
so I know that might be a bit of a weird question, but I just thought it might be an interesting question.
No, it's a really interesting question. I think it's a really important question as well.
'Cause obviously, because of my disability, I have first-hand experience in terms of things like disabled access. So that's why I take that thing really seriously.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think there's many people on the board that do take that sort of thing seriously. To
Mm.
be
No,
honest,
it's true.
at every club, at the board level, it could be a lot better in terms of like Premier League clubs.
Yeah, and I don't think it crosses people like we're saying. They're looking at ticket revenues and ticket sales. I don't think it crosses their mind as much as it could. But I completely agree. It should be much better. It should be. Um, so yeah, I think yeah, that's a really important question. It's a really good question as well. To be fair.
And do you know the thing? Do you know the lady game? Do you think that should be more? Do you think that should be highly promoted? Promoted? 'Cause from what I hear, unless you follow it, you barely know what's going on in it. Like,
I think the Chelsea and women's football has been it's kind of been synonymous, especially in Southwest London recently. There's been far more promotions. There's been um, now a lot more awareness raised, especially over the last few years. But Chelsea women are into a Champions League final, so that was front page news on the homepage news on obviously on the BBC Sport page this morning. So I think that what they're doing there um, is unbelievable. I think that you know it definitely could be promoted more. I think it was given. I think it was free to air this week on YouTube. They watched the semi final. But yeah, I think they're definitely it's slowly but surely, especially with the recent brand deal with Sky to get more all the TV rights obviously being moved across to Sky rather than being on BT and BBC. With more opportunity to watch it. I think that it's definitely something which is going to get more and more coverage as the years go on, and credit to them.
because I personally think as a team game, obviously it's just natural that as I said, I think as a team game it can sometimes be a better game. Because I
Mm,
think sometimes in the male game it can be a bit individualistic if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Like we all know play like Haaland and Messi and all the top players here. Sometimes they can be really egocentric, and I'm not saying there's not women like that in the women's game, but from what I see, it's a lot more like a team effort. Obviously,
I mean, I think it depends. I think everyone's had even there are female players that have egos. They're all fantastic players. All of these people, um, and anyone who you name that has an ego, and behaves like it is because they know that what they're capable of. Um, but I think that yeah, I think the women's game. I see what you're saying. I think there is definitely dependent on the team. That I think it's all dependent on the coaching as well. There is a certain level of
quality.
commitment and togetherness which you see. Um, and I think there are players like Medema for Arsenal. Like I think she can be quite egotistical. She does hold on to the ball a lot. But that's again, you look at the person individually rather than the your team. I can't. Whenever I'm watching women's and men's football, I try and just take it for face value of 90 minutes, 22 people on the pitch, and I'll try and analyze it for what it is. I've been very fortunate to be working with a women's team recently and being able to see what they're capable of and see what they're building and developing. And there are players on the pitch I look at who do play with ego, but there is definitely a togetherness which is it's awesome to see. And you see that in loads of clubs. We look at Leicester when they won the league, like that was you had certain moments of individual brilliance, but that was
That was a
purely
real, that
togetherness.
was a real team performance, and it was a real gritty. Obviously, you can't do that for the whole season, but can I reword that? What I mean, obviously, obviously, in it, moments of individual quality, but you could tell they were all playing together. And I think with certain clubs and certain players, it feels like they're just playing for themselves sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. It's true, and that happens at every level. I've had players that have played for me in the past who were kind of only really in it for themselves, and at the end you figure it out, and in the end they don't last very long because football's about 11 people playing together, not one person taking all the credit.
Do you think, do you think, do you think, especially when you go to the women's games, more like a family atmosphere rather than like lads and things like that, or do you think it's like the same sort of balance?
I think it's far more family orientated at women's games. Um, I think there's definitely more of a it's cheaper. I think for a start, the fact that it's cheaper means people are going to go watch it more, and you do get more families going to those games. I remember, I've gone to see Chelsea games with friends, so I'd go watch the Chelsea women with Jeanne, who was the French girl who's still 100% Chelsea. We used to go together, me and her. Um, but overall, you'd be looking at um, a lot of families going to these games, and I think yeah, I think because it's a lot cheaper, but also because of the way that it's driven and the engagement and how the clubs do it, I think it's definitely far more family orientated.
I would the male game is a bit more like that, but obviously the male game has been a lot more prevalent for years and years and decades and decades. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, I don't think it will ever probably be like that, but I wish it was, because it's a lot more enjoyable. Obviously I do like the chanting and things like that. Obviously that's what makes football. But I think with certain times I do like I do like the the atmosphere. If you know
mm.
what I mean.
100%, 100%.
So yeah. So what are your goals in the future in terms of like your channel or anything like that?
So yeah, I'm just doing in terms of the future. I'm just doing um my own channel at the minute, just under my own name. Um, I'm enjoying making that. Talking about Chelsea, general football. I've got a show where I kind of go through all the papers, but like the old school football show, Football Italia. And then yeah, it's got Imperial Wolf as well, and the Chelsea Echo podcast, and my podcast. So I just my podcast has gone on the back burner because that's something I want to do a bit more long term. Get people on every couple of weeks, talk with um, a couple of we've got a mate of mine, Benj, who's the kit man at Wharf. It's so funny. Um, we get him on and we just yeah. I think the best way to describe Benj, if you've ever seen An Idiot Abroad, think Cole Pilkington, but from Croydon. That's Benj. So that's kind of what I deal with on the podcast every other week. But we haven't done one since December now.
Yeah.
So we're going to probably bring that back in the summer.
Do you, I know you obviously like football, of course, but do you ever get a bit tired talking about football?
Oh yeah, yeah. Trust me. That's why I wanted to do my podcast because I wanted to get outside of football. Um, I love talking about it, but then there are times where, for example, say I'm out with my friends. Um, this is obviously pre-lockdown. I'd be out with my friends, and then someone would see me and ask me about football, and I'm kind of there going, you know what, I do that for like 23 hours of the day. Can I have 1 hour where I'm just sort of with my friends
That
talking about someone else or doing
that
something else?
that's why I just call my podcast and mini podcast. So people can't say I thought this was a football podcast or I thought this was a music podcast or whatever. That's why I just call it my name. So it gives me a lot more. It gives me a lot more freedom to
Yeah,
get whoever I want on. Like if I want to get a scientist on, for example, I can do that. If I want to get somebody like you on in the football community, I can do that. And yes, you have to cater to your audience a little bit, but
yeah,
not to the point where you become unhappy.
yeah. No,
Unhappy.
listen, that's why I took a big break because I burnt myself out. So I took a big break just talking about football just because I wanted to focus on myself and develop myself a bit more because where I'd been so focused on work in quite an important stage of my life when everyone else was kind of maturing, and doing other stuff, I had to do it a bit quicker, which meant that I missed out on some things. So I went to go back. I went back and I've kind of caught up now. So I'm back on. I'm on the same page as everyone else and just rebuilding and I think yeah, it was it's nice sometimes to not talk about football. Like when we opened up, rather than going straight to just talking about films, I love that. I love my films. I love the arts. My films, my art, um, music. Music's such an important part of my life, man. Like I honestly, I love listening and just kind of imagining music videos to those songs and stuff.
What what about type of music? Yeah, one. That,
Uh, well, I'm listening. I listen to a bit of everything. I mean, at the minute, if I go to my playlist, I'm quite into my dance at the minute. Um, Having said that, I was listening to Elton John yesterday. Um, but yeah, I'm into my dance at the minute, and then a bit of alternative and some remixes. Yeah, like my main, just like what I always end up going back to is a bit of indie. I love my indie music, like Kasabian, Stone Roses, all that sort of stuff. That's my cup of tea.
In terms of like my favourite type of music, I like my hip hop and rap and things like that.
Yeah,
But I have a really interesting reason why I like it because cause obviously because a bit of background about me. I wasn't supposed to talk, but at the age of 6, I just started talking randomly. So hip hop taught me how to like articulate myself and taught me how
yeah.
to structure words in the right way. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. But that's the beauty of music. The beauty of the arts and stuff is being able to have those connections and those. Not only is that a connection in terms of emotion, but it's actually helps you, through a very important stage. It's music's fantastic for that. What sort of hip hop do you like? Sorry, I just realised it's your podcast. You tell me. I'm not going to ask you a question. Sorry, you're the one asking the questions.
No, man, I would rather like questions because if I just start talking out a sound of it, then it sounds bigger, and it sounds like I'm being a bigger. So I would rather you ask
No.
questions. So when I think like my favourite type of rappers, I like people like a lot of the old school guys, like the 90s guys like Jay-Z and
Yeah.
Eminem, and like from the new from the newer school, I like people like Kendrick and J. Cole and people like that.
Yeah. That's fantastic. This is not. It's not. It's not what like I have to really be in the mood to listen to rap and R&B. Um, like if my mate puts it on while we're in the car, I'll listen to it and I enjoy it. But it's kind of like if I want to listen to it, I have to really, really be in the mood. Like I really have to sit there and go, yeah, I want to listen to a bit of that right now. And it doesn't come around too often, but when it does, I love it. I really enjoy it.
But when I go back and listen to some of the albums, it's quite frightening. Quite frightening how to articulate listening to some of the albums. Let me say some of the albums are probably not the best if you want to learn how to articulate with some of the words that get used.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I never let, I never said anything too inappropriate. But listening to the albums now, if somebody let out to speak from them, you'll be like, so you'll be like, so he just cursing all the time. But, but
Well,
no,
I mean, if I was in your position and I was articulating and learning how to speak at that point, and then he started swearing, I'd be like, to be honest, I'd be sat there going, he's talking. I don't care. As long as that's brilliant. You know, it's he, he can learn not to use those words later. But just as long as he's articulating and speaking, and that's fantastic. Like the fact that you're able to
I,
talk and do that.
on a deeper level, I used to hide the fact that I liked rap music because of the stigma around white people liking rap or hip hop. I used to hide it.
You shouldn't have to do that. I mean, I listen. I openly listen to whatever music's on. I remember. So obviously now, obviously rap is so prominent. Um, I liked to in the dressing room last year. I didn't put a ban on it, but I said let's try and expand what we're listening to. Let's try and hype each other up with lots of different things rather than having one set rhythm and drive. Because I feel a lot of modern music, it's not as inventive as inspirational and imaginative as it was previously. And I remember I whacked on Elton John. I whacked on Elton John post game. So you'd be all the guys sat in the corner, just sort of like, I'm not going to sing this, I'm not going to enjoy it. But you could see on the inside of the head, they're like, yeah, I quite like this. Just tapping their foot and sort of going for it. But then now, we finally got to the point, right? We banged out Westlife before Christmas. It was brilliant. We've got a guy called Jerry, right? He's this big 6'3" lad from Canning Town, right? And he's a sort of bloke. if you walk past him in the street, you wouldn't mess with him. You wouldn't. The big cuddly bear. It's fantastic. He's a gentle giant. Backstreet Boys came on and he was going for it. It was brilliant. So stuff like that, and music. I think it's just because it's got such a broad spectrum. It's just the way that I think the way you're saying you should hide it. I think the beauty of it is if you listen to that in front of people, you're bringing people in to go, this is what I listen to. If you don't like it, that's fine. But this is why I enjoy it, and this is the history, and this is the emotional connection I have with it.
By the way, I'm not saying I hide it now. Obviously, I just say it on the podcast. So it would be a bit weird if I were hiding it now. But back when I was a teenager, obviously, when you're a teenager, you tend to care about what people say and think like you. So I used to fall into the category of if people know that I like hip hop, they're gonna think that I'm trying to be something that I'm not. If you know
Yeah,
what
that's the problem. And there still is that stigma to a certain extent. It's like, I'm from Royal Tunbridge Wells. If I start listening to some drill, people are like, why are you listening to that? It's like, I want to. It's just like, stuff like that. But
I think, and I also think music reflects society, and I you said music isn't that inventive. I don't think society that inventive, to be honest with you.
it's not. It's not. Society is 99% of people following what the 1% do. You've got to try and take a step away from the crowd in the same way. It's good to be different. That's how I feel.
So before we end the podcast, I have two more questions, and then I just want to say something, and then we'll end it off. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine, mate.
Was there ever a team that you regretted playing?
Is there a team that I wouldn't have played?
Yeah.
There's no one I wouldn't have played, because if we didn't play them, then we wouldn't have learned about what they're like. I think if you're illuminating to DT, that's all good. That's water under the bridge. He apologized for that, and he knows where he went wrong. And to be honest, DT is a very different man to what he was over the past 2 years. He's got control of his anger a lot more, and the credit.
Oh, for God's sake.
No.
Yeah, you
It keeps popping in and out. Right, hang on. Let's go again. So I'm really proud of that as his friend. But yeah, DT's really got hold of his anger, and I'm really proud of him for that as his mate. But there are other teams where, and I would happily play DT again. Not now, because he's a very high standard, and we're not quite there yet. But when the right time comes, there is no doubt that we will play each other again. But there is one team which I would never play again, because they're one of the reasons we left our YouTube league. They threatened to stab our players and beat up a camerawoman. I was there like, wow, hang on, lads, just because you didn't win the game, you're going to that point. And then threatened to wait in the car park and do us in, and we know where you live. And I'm like, fucking hell, boys, like it's like they were just trying to be really hard men, and it backfired. So, and because it backfired and they were getting in my face, I decided to do it back, because stand my ground. It's my territory where they were playing. So, you don't do that. It's on a man's turf. Didn't pay their subs. So yeah, they'd ask, we want to play you again. We want to do this. I'm like, well, shove it up your arse. I'm not playing you ever again. Like, I don't care how good you get. I'm not giving you the time of my day.
To be honest with you, what I would have done? I would have said yeah, and then I would have brought a load of hard men to be on my team. So if they wanted to do it, if they wanted to do it.
That ain't me. I'm not the sort of bloke who's gonna, I'm not a big entourage kind of person. I know a lot of people that think they're Billy Big Bollocks and have an entourage. And I'd look at it sometimes, or they've got all their boys around them, and they're just yes men or whatever. It's like, I'd rather have someone tell me if I'm being an idiot than say, I think this is a good idea. I'm going to jump off a bridge, and they go, yeah, it's a great idea. We'll do it as well. It's like, why have those sort of people around you? It's pointless. Um,
You,
but yeah, I
you,
mean, like, there's no one I wouldn't have played. I've loved every game we played. I've loved every memory we've created. It's been great.
obviously, you'll make the ranks. So would you play your team?
Would I play his team, Rance's team?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, me and Rance are working together, kind of helping each other grow. So we're going to play each other in pre-season all the time. That's like the give and go to game every year. It's going to be. But Rance has got an absolutely superb team. And yeah, we've played them once before, and we went at the races and we got torn apart. But it's one of those games where if we do get in the races, we won't get torn apart. So we just need to make a difference, and we need to push ourselves forward now. And then we'll go from there, really.
Yeah. Because obviously, would you say your team is on the same level as Rancis? Because from what I see,
Um, when we don't have 11 long-term injuries and we have a fully fit squad, yeah, I think we can give people a good game. When we have 11 long-term injuries, 3 of which are, ACLs, then yeah, I think that it might be a bit difficult. We're kind of pieced it together just to get to the end of the season now. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're very proud, and I think that yeah, we could potentially give Rance a good game, but I think we'll have to see what happens with that. We'll have to find out in pre-season if we're ready.
I can't imagine being being I don't I hate saying the word amateur, but you know what I mean. People that don't play football for a living, yeah, and being injured like that, yeah, because obviously you've still got to provide for your family, but
Yeah,
obviously you're injured, so it must
yeah,
be a real nightmare.
yeah. No, it is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. But those people are getting back into themselves now, and one of those ACLs has come back. We've got 2 which are kind of nearly there. Um, they'll be back ready for next season. But yeah, look, I think we'll be ready. One more season in the division we're in. You know, really go for it. I'm talking. I want us to be winning every game, blowing teams away, and then from there, hopefully into the pyramid, and hopefully trying to make a difference.
So if you do get into the pyramid, yeah, I don't know how it works, yeah, but can you, I don't know what the right word is, can you, can you apply to be in the FA Cup like the third
So
round?
so you have to get to a certain level. So you have to get to hashtag step. So we'd have to
Uh,
go 3 or 4 divisions to be able to get 3 or 4 promotions if we're going right at the bottom, and then we could go into the extra preliminary round of the FA Cup. Then there's another one. Then it's preliminary round. Then it's first round proper, second round, and then third round. So we'd have to go through 5 or 6 rounds of fixtures to even consider coming up against Chelsea or someone like that in the third round.
but, but do you know if you do achieve what you want to achieve, wouldn't you like to at least attempt to be in it?
I want us to get to the Premier League. I want us to be a Premier League club. That's the dream. Um, be a Premier League club with traditional values where I can offer cheap tickets and a good atmosphere and a good experience for people who won't be able to afford to go to the big games. Really become a very family orientated club, a club filled with togetherness. Um, that's the plan. That's the vision.
And I will go, yeah, but I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't think you can be a Premier League club and have that mentality. I just don't think you can do it like that if you want to be competing at the top level. I just don't think you can be like that. No offense.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I think there's definitely that's obviously a very broad vision. There are lots of tangibles and lots of different things that we need to get a hold of to make sure that everything's in the right place and everything moves forward. But I think that look, I think yeah, broadly speaking, I'd want to give a good value for money experience for people and a good a good club where we can build and push together, and people can either have us as a second team where you got your Chelseas, you got your Premier League clubs, and just supporting the non-league community. But yeah, like for us, it's I want to be able to have an impact on football overall. I don't want to just be a club which, for example, say we do get to Premier League, we get to Premier League and that's it. I still want to be able to be having an effect on grassroots football and helping our clubs that are less fortunate than us develop and build, because the likes of Bury, Bolton, like all these amazing clubs with a lot of history, a lot of prestige, have fallen down because they've not been supported. I want to be someone who can set the precedent. But first of all, we have to get ourselves stable, get ourselves built, and then from there, we help.
So in a way, like you want to be like in terms of like you always want to be around in the football. You always want to be around in the footballing space, if you know what I mean. But you're not always going to be at the top. Is that like what you mean?
I no, but I think hopefully we can do that and be at the very top. But if listen, if I get a football club, which I thought about doing when I was 17, all the way to the Football League and Championship in my lifetime, I mean, I'm not going to turn my nose up at it. I'm not
No,
going to. That'd be an amazing achievement. But for
like
me, that club, I want us to be a regular one of the ones that are in the Premier League.
like you know Stratford Paddock former
Yes, yes,
full time devil. So you want to do like they're trying to do basically. That they've got like a football team and they're trying to do what you guys are doing.
yeah, yeah, and they're doing a fantastic job of it as well. Really, really good job of it.
So, so eventually, I think every major football YouTube channel will have their own, not their own team based around channel, but do you know the people that run the channels? I can see them all trying to make their own team.
Yeah, well, maybe. I think for some of them have made teams and kind of just given up on it. Um, for me, I've done it because not because I want it to be a YouTube football team. I think YouTube football team is great. I think the concept's great, but I wanted to make a football club. I wanted to make, that was just my mindset behind it. Nothing. It was YouTube was just a very good avenue for us to go down, because that's where my strengths lie. That's where we can develop and build. But I think, yeah, I can see a lot of YouTube teams doing it and a lot of YouTube teams developing.
That
But I think all the major brands now, all the major fan channels have one.
like when I, but like I know what you mean. But when I mean football team, mean like a team that's affiliated with the channel, but it's not about the channel. If you know what I mean, like
Yeah, yeah. Uh, there's a few, but I don't think there'll be many. I think there'll be a lot of affiliations, but I think the Stretford Paddock is a prime example of development. Um, and credit to them for it.
do you know Ellie that we spoke about social media and people hating on you and basically being a dick towards you. Yeah. Since you've been on your own, has it been worse or has it been about the same or has it in- decreased because you're not on the biggest platform as 100% Chelsea or
Um, it's been about the same. I haven't really paid attention to it, if I'm honest. It's not really been something which has been crossing my mind regularly. Um, yeah, no, I'm not too bothered by it. Again, I think if I do get hate, like I said, the block button is my best friend. So I just hit that
um,
and I'm sorted.
has it ever gotten to the point where it got too much for you and you had to like take an extended break from socials like
Yeah,
uh,
it's got to that point. It has got to that point for me in the past. Um, but I've grown and learnt from that now.
I probably wouldn't do this, yeah, but I normally either laugh it off or I come back with a witty remark. That's probably not the best thing to do, so I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. That's
Mm,
that, that's how I deal with it. Because otherwise it would really play on my mind. So me having a bit of a joke about it, or just
mm.
ignoring it is the way that I deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly how you should deal with it. It's exactly what you should do. Don't entertain it ever, ever. I just if I see it, I ignore it. If it carries on, I hit the block button. And that's like if you go if you haven't got anything to bring to the table, don't say it. I still find it funny when people because I can sometimes see obviously so this is from a blocked account when someone's responded to a tweet that I've put out and they've responded to that they've gone I'm blocked and I don't know why and they're like you're blocked because it's just like people just seem to have a really short memory or they're just stupid. But yeah, if you haven't got anything nice to say or you can't engage in a conversation, just don't bother. It's pointless.
Yeah, that's probably the better way to do it. So if you're looking for advice how to deal with it, don't listen to me, listen to Louis.
Yeah,
Another thing I want to say is I want to apologise for when you were speaking like earlier. Because sometimes, when something funny happens, I'm still thinking like in the back of my mind.
yeah.
So I just wanted to apologise if it came across like I was being rude there.
No. You did, mate. It was absolutely fine. You never came across moody. It was all good. But we
No,
had this has been a good laugh. I've enjoyed this, especially the fact. You know what I find amazing is the fact that you made the joke about yourself, and it just your laughter. It just set me off. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. It's just so full of joy. It's fantastic.
because sometimes when I say that joke, because obviously the way the world is like, if you say anything slightly controversial, you got your career coming over even before it starts.
Yeah.
So when I make that joke, a lot of people just sit there and not say anything because obviously in their mind they can't they can't they can't laugh. They also they also don't want to, they also do not want to be a dick to the disabled guy. So a
Oh,
lot of
mate.
times it just an awkward silence.
Oh, it's brilliant. It was brilliant, and I've had such a good time. It's been fantastic, Andrew.
I
Thank you for having me on. It's amazing that you consider me in the category of the amount of amazing guests you've had, and you've gone, yeah, Louis, can you come on? I'm just looking at it, going, that's fucking Jack, mate. Like, that's Lawrence? Like, why am I here? Why am I so special? That's what I look at when I'm looking at it. But mate, it's been a laugh. I've really enjoyed it.
good, good to be honest with you, mate. A lot of times it's hard for me to get responses, so I go for different people, and I go for people that I think might respond with all due respect. You don't have that big of an audience, so I knew you're probably more likely to see it than somebody.
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I'm too big for you, mate. I never saw it. I had to get my PA to go through it.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, this has been superb. This has been great. Oh.
Obviously, I don't know you like well on the personal level. So I thought as soon as the Trans Rule story, you're gonna be so offended. But obviously, I didn't realise that you would just find it funny.
I find 9 out of 10 things hilarious, so don't worry about it. If it wasn't funny, I'd tell you. Don't worry about it. You'd know if I wasn't finding it funny.
You're probably the worst type of person to do podcast with. Because my problem is, you know, when I find something funny, and then we go on to speaking actually more serious. I, I'm still thinking that. I'm still thinking about the funny bit. So sometimes I can come across as really rude.
No, mate. You've not been rude. You've been really, really good. You're a very, very, very good presenter. You're very capable.
Do you really feel?
Superb.
Because when I'm doing videos by myself, it feels really corny. Because you know when I'm speaking like something
Yeah.
by myself, I find it hard to make a transition another topic.
Yeah,
And
no,
I,
I get that, man. I get that. It's not the easiest sometimes. You know, in the words of whoever it was who said it, we move. It's great. Just keep going. And we've got there. We've got to the end. We've smashed it. Made a great podcast. It's going to be the best podcast ever. Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. You know, not anything to do with you because I'm on it. Obviously, it's going to be the best podcast
yeah,
ever.
of course.
You got the sexiest man in football. You got you, Anthony, and you've had
Where
me.
is,
You've
where
had
is
nearly
the
2 hours.
who is the who is the sexiest man in football in your opinion?
I mean, it's me. Just everywhere. I am the sexiest man in football. There's no messing about. That's it. It's just me. You're a close second, mate. All right, close second, but close but no cigar. All right, you're just behind me.
Everybody loves the big man. Just ask Peter Crouch.
You know, it goes. Me, Anthony, Olivier Giroud. I think
I do
that's a
like
fair.
Olivier Giroud. Not only as a player, but he's handsome too.
He is. That's exactly it. He knows it as well, doesn't he? He knows it. Oh dear.
I wish,
Yeah.
I wish he played. I wish he played for somebody like Man United or Man City when he was in his prime, because I think he would be amazing.
He's mate. He's different gravy. He's superb, and I'm so happy to have seen him at Chelsea. He's a cult hero for me.
I think with a bit younger, he could have gone down as a Chelsea. I don't want to say legend, but I think he could have been one of your most important players if he was a bit younger.
Potentially. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
So thank you for coming on, mate. So
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's great. Subscribe to Anthony. Do it now. Right now. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Do it.
so do you want to
Or I'll find where you live.
promote your stuff because it's only fair?
Yeah, so if you want to head across to me, obviously I've got my own channel, Louis Beneventi. It's not 100% Chelsea anymore. Talk about random football stuff, Chelsea previews, Chelsea reviews, opposition previews, and obviously I've got Imperial Wharf and the Chelsea Echo as well. So yeah, check all of those out. Thank you for having me, Anthony. I appreciate it. Man.
And if you don't like football, obviously don't.
Yeah, you can. You can follow me or don't. It's up to you. If you found me really annoying, just hit me up on the DMs and say you hate me and you want me to jump off a cliff, and we'll be absolutely fine.
And by the way, if anybody does that, yeah, just let me know, and then I'll personally make sure that then. Yeah, I don't want people to come on my channel and then end up being abused by my
No, I was joking. Don't worry, man. It's all good. I was joking.
I'm just saying, if anybody does do that to any one of my guests because of me, I'm not standing for it. So please do not do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm a sensitive soul.
You do. I'll try to see you slowly.
Yeah, let me know.
Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments you would like me to get on next. Before I go, Louis, who do you think I should get on next?
Who should you get on next? I think. Who have you not had on yet? You should try and get DT or Troops if you've not had them yet.
I've contacted them, so, and I have not responded. So let's see what they say.
Let's see. I'll see if I can get DT for you. I'll give you a little hand. Give me a little nudge.
I mean, you can do that if you want to, mate. But obviously, no pressure. No pressure.
Sure, no worries. Just appreciate that, Anthony. I've had a great time. It's the least I could do.
Thank you, mate.
No worries, man.